So I was trying to figure out. Actually, like I felt like
Tuesday, August 22nd, it is 2:11 p.m. We're here for the IUPA negotiations. The first thing that I would, I'm sorry, John McKinney, Assistant City Manager.
Carly Meek, Assistant City Attorney.
Kyle Todd, IUPA Business Day.
Ryan Lambert, IUPA Attorney.
Chris Raines, IUPA Vice President.
Jared Alvasados, IUPA President.
Sharon Kranick, HR Director.
So the first thing I want to start with is retirement. I don't know how else to do it yet. You can see on here, there's nothing, and I don't know how to proceed. So I'm just giving you this here. There's no changes on here, but I can tell you that Jared and I last spoke on July 11th. I believe it was, whatever.
21st, maybe?
Well, regarding the meetings.
Oh, sure.
So Jared and I spoke the evening of Tuesday, July 11th, after a meeting, and where I was informed that we still don't have any information regarding cost impact studies. Jared's called, I've emailed, I've spoken to the pension, police pension chair, et cetera. I want to proceed on retirement article. The city council wants to proceed on retirement article. I believe the city gave us some pretty good direction at the shade meeting on how to proceed with the retirement. We're ready to do it.
Sure.
I can't do it legally without cost impact.
Okay.
So I want y'all to know, everyone in the room, everyone, on camera, whatnot, we're ready to proceed. I just need those numbers. I spoke, we had 2 pension meetings concurrently yesterday. She went to the police, I went to fire. So we were in attendance with, or she was in attendance where Mr. Little says, he knows it's important. He's working on it. He just, has no time frame for when this information is to be presented. I have completed well over a month ago the line of duty death ordinance change.
Right.
Okay, you know it. You and I have
Still waiting on
communicated repeatedly on it.
It's on the agenda.
Right.
So as of this morning, if I don't have the information by Thursday morning, I have to push it off again because I'm required legally to have that cost impact attached to it from the actuary. So, so you can go on Civic Clerk right now and see that it is in there. You can see where I have moved it from meeting to meeting. I've kept complete communication with both Jared and with the police pension chair, Warren Carmen. So I'm constantly trying to keep up with where we are on these things. So I legally, you can, correct me if I'm wrong, but
exhausted.
Huh?
You sound exhausted.
Well, it is exhausting because he knows that
Oh, I know.
you're wanting it, the membership's wanting it, I want to get
Yeah.
done with it. So unless you tell me, between, you as the, the attorney, whatnot, that, if there's a way to go forward with these items without a cost impact, I don't know how. So so the best thing that I can suggest or offer on this one is, I don't feel that we are going to have any of this wrapped up prior to September 30th.
Okay.
Retirement. Let me correct, retirement.
Okay.
My suggestion is work on the other items and it being for year 2, an automatic opener. And as soon as we have that information, I want to proceed. I have done everything that I've been asked and provided to the actuary back to, late April, early May. I've provided everything. Okay. If we continue, if we want to, and I'm not suggesting this, I'm just talking out loud, is I don't want to delay wrapping things up because I also want to make sure the first pay period of October, people have raises.
Sure. I agree with that.
So, just, I guess I need your input on how do you want to proceed, knowing that we still don't have the retirement cost impact.
Well, I did speak to the chair of the pension board, and he said that Mr. Little is supposedly going to be done with the numbers either sometime at the end of today or the end of this week, which should be a valuable thing. Then he can get it to you and I, and that way we can have a better response here. I can tell you that the the proposal idea of pushing the pension changes is politely as I could say absolutely not going to happen, because I have promised and I have stood on the top of all these officers and told them that I'm going to get these changes that they're asking for, have been asked for, and have been patiently waiting for, and I will not do that to them. So if it means a situation that is outside of my control and it goes past September 30th, I didn't do that. And I won't look these officers in the eye and go, this is better, just put this off. I didn't do that. As far as I'm concerned, that's a failure that the city should have took the estimate from last time and planned a worst case scenario to be able to say, hey, here's an idea. And I know we spoke briefly about that. You told the council that, hey, we're estimating this way to this way. And as far as I'm concerned, the council should act more favorable to that. And if that's their decision, that's not my problem, because I'm not going to be on the hook for that. They're the ones who are going to say, and that, in my opinion, they're the ones who need to be held accountable for why I can't get anyone to stay here. I cannot retain, and I have to go tell people who are trying to apply here and asking about our benefits, and I will not lie. I'm not going to create a hostile work environment for a brand new officer who immediately is going to shame our PD, tell their friends about our PD, and that information will get back of they lie to your face to get you in the door to hope you will stay. And I've already had a couple officers who have felt like that. They felt wrong. They appreciated that someone inside the police department had told them, oh no, this is your actual benefit. And then they have changed their minds and going, well, clearly I was not told the truth and all the truth here, and I'm leaving. So the pension is a huge, huge deal. That's why I've been working on it so diligently. That's why I have been repeatedly saying to these officers, it's gonna be worth it. There's good changes here. The admin likes it. The other bargaining units like it. And this thing needs to happen. We have to stay above water.
The only substantial change in the pension is the retirement date, right?
Right. Or COLA.
I thought that was the same.
COLA is
Tier one.
no
has it,
tier
two
tier
does not
tier
have
one has
COLA.
COLA, tier two has no COLA.
Oh, got it. So I'm assuming, based on what you're saying, that the city's kind of reviewed the pension proposal and is at least open to considering it.
No doubt, absolutely.
So
there were 6 items. They've given me the items that they are good with. They just want to see the cost of it. As soon as I can show them the cost is within what we expected. And even Mr. Little at the meeting yesterday even stood up and said, the city has paid this plan well over, so you're at 88% funded. So I know that I'm at the threshold that council has made the promises that they would do changes.
What if we did it this way? It's a 3-year contract.
Mhm.
We put that year 2, the pension, there will be an actuarial study. the pension will change to that proposed pension,
Mhm.
as long as it's within X percent of the estimate. I mean, the estimate we have right now is 320,000 estimated city contribution, I believe. So as long as it's within, say, 10, 15% of that, it's automatically affected. If it's not, if it's not either, you know, if it's higher than the 10, 15%, whatever it is we come up with, then it's an opener where we sit down and negotiate. And not that it's not going to happen, but we can discuss a higher contribution or something like that, just to make sure that we make it happen and make it viable. If we put it in the contract that way, it's happening. They know it's happening. It's not happening this year, but it's guaranteed to happen because both sides are then on the hook for it.
So my only statement, I like that thought. I really do. My only statement is the city and IUPA agreed last year to do 6 independent. That's all wrapped up. So the council wants those 6 a la carte items. But, you know, again,
Well, then
I mean, I already had a proposal that retirement is an automatic opener year 2. No question.
Well, and here's the problem with the
You know.
automatic opener, though, and I appreciate that, but it's not a guarantee. It's a guarantee that you guys will talk
Yep.
to them. It's not a
Yep.
guarantee that they'll get anything.
I agree
So
with you.
another way we could do it, as long as you guys are good with it and you're good with it, is put that the pension will be increased by at least X amount. And that way they can look at the a la carte things. If all of them are outside of that amount, the officers get to choose which ones they want implemented, and we can negotiate on everything else with regard to it. But that way, again, it's in the contract that we are going to increase it. I think that would give them comfort, and that way they can say, look, it's going to change. It's already contracted to change.
Mhm.
It's there.
Mhm.
It's just we haven't decided what changes we're going to do yet.
So, sir, I like that thought. I do. Jared, I've been told for 2 months now, 3 months now, June, that it would be days from getting this cost impact. I was told within, the today or tomorrow, we would have the stuff for line of duty.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the one that I've been told that I should have any day now.
Mhm.
Now, whether, the other 6 items are within a day or 2, I heard the software's already been, configured.
Running.
It just needs to be inputted. So what I can say to everyone is that if we can wrap all of this up no later than October 3rd, being going to council for October 3rd, everything can be effective, raises everything that we have. So my question then to you guys is it's kind of hard for me to put in the language like you're stating, because we don't even have a base figure to work with.
I know.
So, and I would, if there's a thought process the lawyers have that, you could put in that, the city's looking at these 6 items, that we're not looking to spend more than X amount, then maybe I could go back to the city manager and meet with council and say, hey, if it's, you've said that you will give, I'm just making up a number, $100. If it's within 5% of that $100, are you good to proceed of, picking, any one of the 6 items up to that amount? So we can take that to them for consideration as well. I mean, I think
it needs
we
to
have
be
a good way to
considered.
move forward. We know what we
Right.
have. I just need that dollar.
I get that.
So
We do. I get that.
And
Yeah.
that's,
But this is a good way to implement it. This is a way to show as a city that we are being favorable to say, hey, we're coming up with a solution with things
Yep.
that are outside our control, rather than saying, well, how do you want to proceed? I can't do this, I can't do that.
Yep.
We have something. I get it's old, but we still
Yep.
have something.
Yep.
So if it takes us agreeing that there's a percentage sway that we will agree to, even if we have to say, hey, it was, we set that 10% sway was everything would be implemented, we're good. Hey, we were at 12.
Mhm.
Okay. We have a what would it be? An MOU meeting, or we're just calling a meeting to discuss it and basically say, hey, what can we agree upon? Hey, we're good with these 5 of 6
Yep.
and implement this, and we'll come back to this one if
Yep.
that's what the bargaining unit asked for.
Yep.
Right? Because we're still looking at a majority of those benefits. No one on my side has the ability to even take advantage of yet.
Correct. So, question for the attorney. All of this information is going to be based off of evaluation of October 1st of 22. So if the information doesn't get provided to us until September 30th or October 2nd, so that the earliest I could take it for city council approval is October 3rd, the fact that we've now crossed another October 1st, would that valuation, the cost impact still be valid?
I'd have to look at it, but I
Yeah.
think if we're like roughly around there. And I'd like to take a moment and look at the Florida statute too, now that I have an idea of your suggestions and see if maybe there is a way.
And, I mean, valuations are always going to adjust. The main difference
Absolutely.
in those valuations is what the stock market's done.
Absolutely.
So it's, will the evaluation, I mean, an evaluation isn't 100% accurate the day it's given.
Correct. It's
you know,
already changed.
Yeah, so it's,
Yep.
with rough estimates, I mean, I'd say you're probably going to be within 10% of the June 22 valuation. Because the market has gone up and down a bit, but it stayed fairly consistent, if not raising more than they expected it to. So
I didn't go to yesterday's meeting, she did, but I will make the vast assumption that your October 1 numbers will be much better than they were last year, October 1.
oh, I agree.
So with that said,
Yeah.
would you please look into that and
Absolutely.
let me know? And
I'll let you
then,
know.
then I'll get back with, either you or Kyle.
I will continue to have that very close communication with the chairman, Warren Carmen, keeping on top of Chad. And from what I understand, that Chad has personally apologized for the delay, and he made it very clear that no, he couldn't give a definite date, but he's saying I am almost done. So
He didn't say that in the meeting. He may have said
yeah,
that
and that's
personally.
fine, right? And that's
to
fine. And
Warren, but
again,
he did not
there's
say that in the meeting.
ask
Mhm.
4 people the same question, you're gonna get 4 different responses
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yep.
And I agree.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yep.
John knows how frustrated I've been multiple times. Heather
Yep.
knew the same thing when I would email Heather, like how Chad,
Yep.
there was a lack of communication.
Well, just know, you can check my teams. I am in constant weekly communication with Warren on where we are, so this is definitely not anything. Anyway, the next item is Article 15. There still has been no change from when we met previously.
This is the thing you want to do at the 84. Okay. Yeah.
That's
The marching orders I was given was until we settle on a wage, that's not gonna happen.
okay. Then okay. That's.
I'm
where
just
I
gonna go raw at it today,
Yeah.
John. I mean,
Well, I know,
it's
well, that's where I just don't know how we can proceed with the understanding that wages is all y'all said to me last meeting, we're not going to settle on wages until we get retirement.
Well, I
You know,
can't
Those
say.
two go hand in
well,
hand
but
together.
I agree with you.
Dude,
Everything
if we're-
else
if we're-
I
follows all
wholeheartedly
that.
Right,
agree.
if
The
we're,
proposal then
Look.
is off because we calculated it in there, so
Right,
now the
Right.
proposal that we've just given you
that's
is
correct.
So
invalid.
two
Sure.
points. One, with the retirement, we're 90% of the way there. I
Mhm.
mean, ultimately, if there's something in the contract
Yep.
that guarantees the guys, we're good.
Yep.
With regard to the 80+4, this is both for my side and your side. South Daytona is doing a proposal to do that. The way South Daytona is doing it, it actually benefits their officers. There are pros and cons to 84 and pros and cons to 80+4. I'm assuming it's the software, the
Yes,
payroll
sir.
software you use, which is why you want to go to 84.
Yes, sir.
instead. So there are some pros and cons. What's going to depend on is the wages and then how everything's calculated. Because there is a way with South Daytona that if it's calculated in a certain order, it's a loss for the officers. And there's another way that it's nothing but a gain.
Mhm.
So that's something that we'll look at wages, we'll look at this, we'll sit down, we'll talk about it. And then, because it can end up being a benefit.
It was, and at the last
Oh, it did.
meeting, I provided to them calculations that showed that it was a benefit.
And I agree with you. 100% I agree with you. And I didn't get a bad response from the bargaining unit. The issue is that they said, we're not willing to settle on that until we can see what our wages are going to be. Because the initial reaction, unfortunately, is that it seemed like a way to inflate a wage proposal. And that was the response I got. Hey, this seems like this is a way for them to inflate this wage proposal. So this is fake. This is a fake percentage, which is there. If that's how they feel, then that's how they feel. And I can't disagree with them because I could see the argument. If you're saying this is, oh, hey, this is your wage and this and this, well, not really, because this is just something that moved.
Why don't we wait and see the wages?
So,
Well, this has it built in.
right,
So
right.
this is not,
So that's fine. It
Just
has
for-
it built in. That's
yeah.
okay.
so it's not going to be this plus something built on top of it for the 84.
Right.
This has the 84 built in.
Is there a way for me to see the difference, just for the sake of? Okay.
You
Yes,
can look at the
there is.
percentages.
Okay.
So we don't have a very sophisticated copy machine.
I'm just impressed you can make yours work. Mine usually tells me the nonsense.
Sometimes it's just,
If I lose my gun,
the copier is still quicker than just printing it 10 times.
Oh, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding.
It's kind of null anyway.
Sorry, I didn't put
No.
a date on it.
That's okay.
So, and I just saw here, so on the third column of everyone where it says proposed step, it's actually proposed increase percentage.
Then you built in your, what was it, came out to be about what,
2.38%.
Get 2.38.
So again, and I've provided that to you before. This is taken into account the fact that, we are wanting to do pension improvements that has a pretty good increase cost to the city. We've actually looking at making enhancements to the insurance going with, it's called triple options.
Mhm.
So making different increases for, that. So if you live in Flagler or if you live in Seminole County, you don't have to come to Volusia County, to a Florida healthcare doctor. So taking into account all the different things that are offered. You know, the city has made very good increases over the last couple of years. I provided that to y'all at the last meeting. So again, this is taking into account everything that we are looking to propose to y'all once we have the information. The other thing, and again, I don't expect a response on this today. The other thing that, as I went into that, I also took into account
Fractions of fractions.
I mean, listen, what are you gonna do with your 20-cent raise?
It's 15, it's like 15 or 16 cents. Very exciting.
I can take you to go get a coffee.
You're gonna have to pay.
It's a 6.
well, you're at 3083. You would
Yeah.
go to 3292.
That's not what it says on here.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
it
a-
is.
It's a step. So
It's a
you go
step.
across and down.
You'd be
3083.
no.
But you're not
Ted,
going to
you're
stay in
not
probation. You're going to go to
yeah,
level
you
1.
go to 3292.
Right, but I'm still in the first year. I get
No, you would go October 1st. You would go to 3292, the first full pay
it
period.
would go to the, okay.
I would never do that to you, Ted.
Just calculate numbers.
So to say, I can't say that because, you know, he's been given
I
a
got 6
6 cent
cents.
raise before.
Well, that's where I listened to what you said before, and I want to also, so that you see that I believe that we put something into there
Mhm.
that guarantees that that doesn't occur. Because again, we do listen to what y'all are stating.
It's minus 2.5. for comp, so
So it's fractionalized. Yeah.
I have
That was more copies.
it's actually 4.2%.
Okay, so the first thing is that, you know, and when we went through the last meeting, officers, sergeants were getting both an October increase and an anniversary increase. So if we were putting in a 6% raise, you were getting 12% in 1 year.
Well, it's a
No.
little bit less than that.
Not
Because then we're
necessarily.
going down
Yeah,
a
but-
step, so it'd be just between the steps.
You know, so we did see that employees did make out. Ted, to your thing in here, if you look at 28.5, I updated it.
Yeah, no.
I kind of looked at some other language. Is that?
Real quick,
and
maybe I misheard you. Who are you saying got 2 raises a year? Because we only get 1 on our hiring anniversary. That's it.
We didn't get
We don't
two. We haven't
get,
got
we don't
two.
get 2 raises a
You
year.
don't get one
15
October
years
1?
ago.
When
No.
the contract changes,
we
the
did.
things change, the wage
But that's just a change
steps,
in
but
the
that's not a
contract.
raise.
Our pay raise does not go, or like, no one's paying.
No one's getting a
increases just because they
12%
hit
raise.
October.
Hold on. That's not what John Howard.
So you did not get a raise October 1 last year.
I think we did because of the new contract,
Yeah,
but
contract
it's not like every
implementation.
single year come October, we don't get one then. We only get it if there's a new
Okay,
contract.
so that's where, again, the turnover in staff.
See, yeah,
It's
See,
our
I
years
get-
of service.
see, you would be right if the language had reflected something as like, there's no particular wage thing and it's on your anniversary, you get a 5% increase. Oh, October 1, all rate,
Yeah.
then you'd be right, but no, that's not the way it
Well,
works.
that's why B is
If you had-
stricken.
If you have merit increases
Right.
in there.
Well, that's why we were going through this when everyone's pulling. So that's why B is stricken, that you would get it effective every October.
Well, no.
We used to have that.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh.
Well, that's what we went
But
through
you know,
with
if you get
your
it in-
command staff and everything else.
Mhm. If you get it in October, then you have it for the whole year. You don't have to wait till
Fiscal
your
year.
Right.
July anniversary when
Because they've
everybody
always
else.
done it on whenever your hire date was, that's when you were
Yeah,
supposed to
but that's,
really.
and that's never been an issue. That has never been an
Do you
issue.
prefer hire date, anniversary date, or do you prefer October?
I think they
I
prefer bigger
prefer-
raises.
I prefer their they prefer knowing that their little thing in Workday that says you've reached this year of working and now you're getting a new increase. And then when they see their October 1, okay, there happens to be a new contract. The October 1 is a complete, that's just a negotiated thing. That doesn't have anything to do with
That's a
anything.
budget.
We could have said October last year, we could have not said a wage change, so nothing would have happened.
But when you get the
That's a
one for
17.
your hire date, all you're staying,
What makes it?
you're just going down a level.
Right. You're going to
Right.
step.
Right.
You're 17.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
So you're just going down a level. You're not taking a step, which a step plan, you take like going downstairs.
Well,
You
see,
know,
this is the way that we have designed our steps.
Mhm.
Our step is in line with your working career. My step 11 is my 11th year of working. And if by October 1, there is a new contract that takes effect that changes my working percentage, my working wage, then okay, it happens to change. But if this year, for the sake of an argument, the easy thing, if we had set no wage changes at all, October 1st, I'm not getting anything different. Nothing's changing for me. So that's just an agreed upon wherever we happen to be in our contract negotiations.
Okay.
Not
Well,
for-
then that 28-1, the very first item should be employees will be slotted into the following pay schedule effective the first full paycheck following their anniversary date.
Yeah, I didn't come up with the October.
Okay. Again,
Yeah.
we spoke at length with
Mhm.
command.
Which command?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
if you want a good answer, I'll always give you one. Because maybe there seems to be some confusion. There is
Okay.
no double raises that's happening, I can tell you that. In fact,
So
I've had
then-
So
officers
you want it higher date, not October 1.
So-
want it higher.
Okay, so then 28-1 should read, upon ratification of this agreement for fiscal year 24, expiring 9/30/24, employees will be slotted into the following pay schedule effective the first full paycheck following their anniversary date.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay,
It
That's
should-
consistent with the chart that you gave us,
Yep.
years
Yes,
of
sir.
service. So
Yes.
it's all,
it would
so that's item number one.
take effect.
The to be inserted is once we agree to something.
I feel like we're confusing this a little bit. I feel like this is getting confused and open to an issue. That we need to separate out that there is a clear difference between our negotiated contract term when it takes effect October 1 and anniversary date your wage changes. Because if we look at that,
And you just go up in the
Yeah.
step plan.
right, you need to just go on the step plan. But I don't want to happen is I don't want this city to look at this and go, okay, well, you're not there yet because this hasn't taken effect.
We don't have that problem.
Okay.
Ted, what's your hire date?
1504.
Okay, perfect. You're currently at 3083, correct? Okay, so then on that date of your anniversary, you would go to 3292.
Right. That's what should happen.
Yes, sir. No questions about it.
That's what
Right.
it's always been. It's-
Right.
And now and then for the same thing, October 1, this happened to be accepted, he would go to $31 an hour, right? As of October 1.
No,
The new
sir.
Why?
It would be, this is the pay schedule following the first full pay of your anniversary date.
See, that's not how we do that.
Yeah, that's where I'm saying, I believe in some cases, then that's where you get that double raise. So
We're
then
not
if-
getting, there's no,
Hold on.
all right, go ahead.
So then that would mean under your statement is you're currently at 3083. First full paycheck, then you're saying you go to $31.
Like it's, yeah.
And then,
On that first.
then your anniversary, then you go to 3292. That's where the two raises.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
But
If
we're-
we pass a new contract and wages increase, then yes, technically it's like getting 2 raises in a year. But that's
Yes.
only if we pass a new contract.
And it's,
I was just making sure you understood that we
Yeah.
don't regularly, like every year, even during a
Right.
contract,
No
we
one's
don't get
getting
two raises.
a year.
So
Especially
we
for
were
us-
just
especially
misunderstanding
saying
each
like,
other.
someone got 12% raise. It's not.
So yeah, I think we would like to keep the 28-1 as the full paycheck of October. I think we were just on different wavelengths there.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, because then if you do that, because everyone's focused on that proposed step increase, then you're definitely getting greater than a 6.8% in a given year.
That's going to create a charted mess, though, because you're going to have people that are at a certain time in grade or years of service that
Yeah.
aren't getting that because it hasn't been October.
This is exactly, yeah, but this is, I'm failing to understand where our disconnect is because we have not had this issue.
What, I understand what
The
you're saying.
language is, yeah, is
This has
It's
not
the
been an
same.
issue. When an October 1st contract takes effect, and we have 3 of these say things, and we go, here's October 1st, 2024 fiscal year. This is the new wage thing. And all of us change and we go, okay, this is what we're at now. And then I reach June,
The next step.
my next step, and I go, okay, well, I'm gonna hit June. Okay, I go to the next step in my in my wages. So I get whatever I'm at. So I'm confused of why
Okay, so
we're
it is
trying
confusing in this, in the ERP, as he alluded to with, other issues, it's always an issue. It would be easier to go October first full paycheck, you go immediately from 3083 to 3292.
How do you count time and grade now?
Are you trying to, or okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, I guess, in some extent. Are you trying to simplify this system to say that we know you will hit your, say like me, we know, Jared, in 2024, you're going to hit your 12th year. So as of October 1st, we're just going to start your 12th year of pay October 1st for that fiscal year. Okay, so what you're arguing is I'm getting an earlier raise to some extent, and if it happens to be you're a later year person, you're going to delay the raise for that. So you just have to understand which one you prefer.
I will work either way you want, Jared. If we wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about this if it wasn't a problem,
They
or there
could-
hadn't been
They
concerns.
could write it in there, and as of October 1st, the higher your service that year, you will be paid at that level. So if you're at 14 and after October you would be at 15, they pay you at 15, something like that.
Well, that's the only way I'm trying to give this
Yeah.
the benefit of the doubt, because like I said, I'm failing to see where we had this issue before. We haven't had this issue before. New contract takes effect, the new wages take effect.
Yep.
Very simple. If you hit and then when you hit your anniversary, hit your anniversary. There's a clear separation there, which has always been fine. But what seems to be is though, it seems like we're trying to put this like we're getting double raises and we're not. We're issuing a new
Okay, forget the
set of
double
wages.
raises. It's
Right.
one of 2 things. Either everyone goes up a step October
Yep.
1st, or you go up on your anniversary date.
Yep.
One of 2 things. Doesn't make a fucking lick of difference either way.
I agree.
It's just
Yep.
whatever your preference is. Do you want everyone being raised up at the same time, or do you want it raised up on your anniversary date? Either way, if they do it this way, they're gonna have to raise everyone 1 step on the new contract, which means everyone's getting a step early, and then it will just be a yearly
Yes, sir.
cycle.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
I got you.
so what he's saying is that he would go to
Either way, it's
$31.
Right.
Okay.
No, I get what he's
Okay.
saying.
Well, you
No, that's what he's saying
Yeah.
as well.
okay. So as long as this doesn't affect the idea
So then
that
this
someone would get
percentage is-
delayed because of
Correct.
Well,
It's
no
gonna be
one would get
higher.
delayed,
Correct.
because the way it would
That's
have to
correct.
be written is everyone currently employed will go up 1 step on October 1st, and then annually on October 1st, go up a step. So everyone is going to go up a step earlier than they would have. For some, it'll be a day
Jonathan.
earlier, for some, it'll be a year earlier.
I'm in
Okay.
January.
Yeah.
Yep.
So by what you're saying is October 1st, I would get bumped up to 3292, which would be step number 1, October 1st.
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
so you'd get a step,
It would be a little bit early.
Yeah.
Correct.
Than that
The first
actual-
year, it's early. The second year,
it's
it's
October 1st.
October 1st. So you're still a step 1, step 2, step 3. It's just that we got 505 employees. We go there and we do it one time, and the only other time we touch it is, and I can sit here and tell you, there's been countless times where, you're missed by a pay period or two, and then you didn't happen to look at your paycheck. But this is guaranteeing that we're going and touching every employee the first full paycheck of the year.
It's a
And that
big
just
one-time
happened.
adjustment for the city's
Okay.
financial benefit,
I mean,
which will
fine.
impact, it could be positive for us.
And the
But I
ben-
can tell you,
and the
it's
benefit-
budgeted.
But yeah, and the benefit for you guys is everybody's getting the next step early, whether it's a day, 6 months, 9 months, everyone's getting a step up early.
Okay.
Makes sense?
You'll come
Okay.
back to us on this.
Do
This,
some math and think
yep.
about it.
The second thing is that for 28.2, and I split 28, the current 28.2 was the employees will receive no increase in pay other than what is provided for in this agreement. We're looking to, just say that for year 2, it's a flat 5% increase.
Did you put that in there or?
That's what,
That's
I'm
what
telling
to
you
be
right now,
inserted.
we're wanting to put that in as a 5% increase across the board. That's why I said to be inserted. I'm saying to you 5%,
So you're looking at like a 2-year.
2-year, wages only.
So it's not
Third
gonna-
year would be subject to an opener.
So we're not saying just when the contract is new, but we would put a condition in there for the next year as well. So you're guaranteed that.
So I didn't do this, because until this is agreed to,
Step 1, step, yeah.
yes, sir. But that's the offer, is that year 2 is a set 5% increase. So we just went to council last Tuesday. Council gave NAGE a 5%. So they've already locked in the 5% increase for year 1 and 2, but there was no, obviously, pension improvements. So, just once this is agreed to, where we get to an agreement, the city is prepared to offer a flat 5% increase for year 2. If that's not something that y'all want to do right now, I'm good with that too. And I will just amend the duration article to include wages as well for year 2. Okay. I wanted to make sure as I did this that on the 28.2, I wanted to also include A and B so that it's very clear, that, for the next year, on if I do this with a 5% increase, then everything would follow as well for A and B. Then, as I stated, which we talked about a while ago, Ted, is that on 28.5, I wanted to make sure that an officer promoted to sergeant shall move to the corresponding pay schedule for the sergeant position with a minimum of a 5% or the next highest in grade pay schedule detailed in 28.1. So without pulling out my phone calculator, let's just say that if you're a 13-year sergeant, a 13-year officer at 28.70, if 5% comes out to be 31.10, you would move to 32.92. So if you're in between, the probe and a 1, then you would automatically, that's just saying that you would go to the 32.92. If you're a 5-year officer and you're making 25.70, well, you're not getting 5%. It's 5% or bottom of the band, whichever is greater. So you would automatically go to 31. So that's where, in your case, making sure that it's a minimum of 5%, because that was, probably an oversight that could have, should have maybe been reviewed. Okay. And I did not believe, and if I did, we talked about it. I don't believe y'all provided any changes to the incentive pay.
No, I did.
I missed it then.
Do you have that with you?
No, that's what we currently are.
Do you have that with you? Okay.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, but we closed it up because until there was a proposal. So just provide back your response to 28. I mean,
Fine.
we're
Yeah.
not opposed to something.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do it, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it anyways, but it basically was, the,
Because I didn't have anything in writing is where I'm getting at. I couldn't find it.
yeah, I don't remember.
Probably did it by
First, I don't
email, but-
remember, I think it was on the email we sent you, actually, should have, because I sent the
Yeah, I
email.
know we.
No, I sent the
I
email.
don't remember.
Or you,
Yeah, but we kept saying we're not, anyway.
anyways, it basically
We're good
was
with it.
restructuring the incentives, and basically 3 incentives were considered high liability. The other incentives were considered low liability. Low liability went from $70 to $85, and high liability went from 100 to 120. I think it was a general 20% raise on that incentive pay.
Do you remember what those were? The
Yes.
high incentives?
I mean, 120.
It was
If you send it via
120,
email.
it was detective, traffic, and canine. And we added 1 too. So, and the rest of the incentives go to 85, and we're inserting the new unit that was initialized by command staff earlier this year, which was hostage negotiation team.
And that would be at the 85?
That would be 85.
Yeah, because I just searched it. I don't see it, Jared. So we're not opposed to a change.
Okay, good.
So, but when we're done with this meeting today, I'm going to send you the entire Word document, lock, stock, and barrel, so that, and I will send you this Excel file too. So if there's any changes, all I ask is that on your counter proposal, that you send it back with track changes, so that we'll put it on the screen and accept whatnot. And the only other item, I'm going to hand both of these items out. Since it's going back. Okay. So, as I relayed, previously when we were just kicking some things around, we just went and I looked at for 32-1, just to simplify it, look at the current agreements that we have in the city, is that 32-1, just simply stating, in effect, we're offering a 3-year contract through September of 26. Also striking that the fact that, there's no reason to have the or certified mail. So that given in writing by either party to the other, everything Jared and I, it's been email. We're good with emails. So I didn't think the reason for that. Also, looking at our other ones, just a simple April 1st, didn't need to specify a year, was good. So for 32-2, again, just trying to be consistent within all the various agreements. the parties may negotiate Article 29 retirement in year 2 and Article 28 wages in year 3 of this contract. No other provision of this agreement shall be a proper subject for negotiation during the term of this agreement unless it's mutually agreed by the parties in writing to renegotiate. So again, just consistency, not trying to take anything away, just consistency. I didn't understand where the 32.3 comes into play, because at the end of the day, the two attorneys in the room will tell you if there's a change in FLSA, I'm legally required to adhere to it. I can't choose not to follow federal law when it comes to, calculation of something. What else was there? So again, just get back with me on that, there's some other items that were out there. I mean, these are just hours. You previously told me that you were going to review Article 10, Article 11. The two attorneys were going to work on Article 13 and 14.
13 and 14.
Done?
Stay in its-
Okay, perfect. Then I will change this to today's date, and then take the notes
Which
off.
two were those?
13 and 14.
I also forwarded you the email with those specialties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Article 17 and 18. Can we close that out now? Seeing that the
Sorry, say that.
Article 17 and 18, y'all held that open based on pensionability of cash out. That was resolved at the August 15th council meeting. Council changed the language for tier 1 that sick and vacation shall be pensionable.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any other changes to make in that? Or is that all we're doing?
Y'all were wanting to make sure that it was for tier 1, that it was pensionable.
Let's go back, look at our notes.
Yeah, I don't think we had any other notes.
Yeah, because we went through all of them, and that was back in April at our April 14th meeting. So, but anyway,
Okay.
city council approved it last
Sure.
Tuesday. It is now pensionable, no questions asked. For tier 1, we had the meeting with payroll, HR, finance on Monday, going through Deputy Chief Proctor's email that got sent out within the last week or so. That was also forwarded to Sharon and I as an FYI that was sent out. It was very clear of the process to follow to make sure that it is documented when it comes over to finance, the payroll, that it's to be
The thing
pensioned.
that wasn't clear is I never got an answer back is vacation overage, once it goes over 320, to make sure that that is pensionable as well. I sent an email and we were talking, sent the email in for that time on the 6 sheets. And just to make sure that so that we don't get in a situation where they're chasing.
That would be, because it's cash out,
Mhm.
that's pensionable. It's cash out, it's pensionable.
Well, the city automatically does that, so that's their
Okay.
transaction,
So
right?
we just need to make sure that,
It is,
Yep.
she has it
We don't-
marked.
We don't put the data in, they do that.
Yep.
Back to 320.
Right.
it council stated tier 1 is pensionable.
It's a computer system.
Yeah, I know, but we want to, if
Sigrid
it's,
is working
Yep.
one by one.
There's only what, 20, 15 of us.
Tier 1s, yeah,
20,
there's not many.
23.
She's going one by one on everybody who's
So it's not a-
requested.
Giant work for us.
Yeah, she's trying to make sure we do it right this time.
And what about year 2022? They Remember they were gonna
Go back.
fix that. I don't know what the process will be for that, but I'm sure you'll give us
Well,
something, right?
Mr. Little was going to go through and for the tier one people, because it was considered no impact, that if they retire, then we would have to go in and include that as pensionable income for that year. We can't change the system.
Are they gonna send us some notification on that, like an email or something, have that? We didn't get any, there was no communication that says here, you know, that is what you were going to do. So,
I will get with the pension chair again, because again, that was a whole conversation I had on how to account for it, and I was going to be informed on what was to be provided.
something in writing would be awesome. That way you have that.
Okay. Yeah, because I would assume that would come from, yeah, because we provided to him, yeah, we provided all of that to them. So we just need to see how they're accounting for it in their system. Okay. Because, you know, once you do the calculation, that's done by Mr. Little, not by the city. You know, it's the best, you know, best five. So if it happens to be that, you know, that last year was not in someone's best five, then it wouldn't. So that's just the,
Mhm.
yeah.
In 17, 18, we're fine. I had my note, was just waiting on your pension meeting, so that's fine.
Yep. Okay. We had on workers' comp Article 23. We have no changes at this time. We'd like to leave as is.
We didn't have any notes on that.
Yeah. What I previously provided months ago, you know, when I sent that article status, the city was to suggest language. We have nothing at this time, so we're just going to close it out.
Okay.
Insurance, Article 28. So,
25, you mean?
sorry,
25.
25, sorry.
Okay.
Article 25, insurance. I can tell you, as I stated earlier, we have nothing to change on insurance. I can tell you that we did just recently add the triple options.
That'll be hopefully September 1, it'll be in place.
Yep. So you won't be, unless you got married tomorrow or a new child, you know, next month, you couldn't change to that until January 1st. But it is, it's currently the same price roughly for our high tier. The difference is our high tier currently, you can't just go anywhere, you know, with the triple options. If you have a child that's in college in Tampa, they can go to doctors in Tampa. They don't have to come here, you know, like my son, you know.
So it's not reducing the cost at all, just allowing you to go to other doctors.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually,
'cause
the
it-
plan costs more,
yeah,
but
a lot
we're
more.
keeping the price the same. It's, what it allows is for you to use Florida healthcare like we all have now, local, or you can use a Blue Cross, Florida Blue, the Cross Blue Shield doctor within their network.
Why can't the city put something like a stipend in for the officers' families or the officers themselves?
Well, under the Affordable Care Act, I cannot treat one group different than another group unless it was in
You have to
effect,
give us bigger rates. that's all.
unless it was in effect prior to the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. So we're kind of, and again, a lot of the attorneys can tell me differently, but we have been, you know, many agencies have been called on the carpet trying to give. That's where, like, the sheriff's office was required to give it not only to their deputies, but administrative staff, because then they would be treating people differently.
They're still projecting a 10% increase.
No, sir. No, sir. It's, we feel that it's going to come in significantly less than what was proposed. We did meet with them 2 weeks ago. Our claims history has been exceedingly well. So we said that we, based on that, I asked for a 0% increase. They said that wasn't going to happen. So I said, well, if I pull up the records as of today, the CPI index for 12 months year over year was no more than 3.1. So they went back and said we wouldn't accept anything greater than a 3% increase.
That we at this
So,
point don't intend to pass that. to
Yeah.
City Hall.
Yeah, so we're hoping to just absorb that. That will be our recommendation to city council.
That's citywide, right?
Yep. So that would be 2 years in a row because we didn't increase dependent coverage to the employee last year at all. So, that would be, again, another benefit to us as employees.
But we're not there yet on that, right?
Again, I can't really put that in an article for, police because then that would be something that would be against federal law. So
Out of curiosity, why is the city switching to this plan from just
We're not
straightforward-
switching.
we're
to
not
a plan.
switching to the
We're
plan.
just
we're
adding another
So
option.
now we're gonna have
Oh,
4
okay.
options.
So what it will do is if we want to recruit someone, an officer who doesn't live in this area, maybe he lives in Flagler or St. Augustine or,
Okay.
you
So it's not replacing that.
No.
no, it's just
No, we
adding
said
another
add.
option. Hopefully it'll, we're just looking for anything we can do to help
Did they
improve.
shop around like they, discussed about different?
So-
Might wind up in DT serving one or whatever.
Yeah, so because of the way we asked them to go to market for next fiscal year. So not October 1. They actually have to start for that around October of November. So it takes them, right, because we're asking them to make potential mass changes. So, how long have you worked here? For 19 years, you've gone right down the street to a pharmacy, to Florida Healthcare or wherever you live. You've gone, and for the last 14 years, employees have gone to these various workforce wellness locations that if we switch carriers, that workforce wellness no longer exists. So then we have to either, do a contract with local Centricares, potentially hire our own in-house, create our own in-house clinic with doctors and PAs and nurses. So
Glom one of the state.
say it again.
Why would you just try to glom one?
They won't let us. Sir, I have tried that multiple times.
That
They will
answers
not,
it. Yeah, it's-
they will not even, because we tried with Florida Healthcare to do that back in all the local governments back in 2016.
Right.
And they said absolutely not, because this city's high claim, this city's low claim. So the only people that it benefits to join a consortium like that are the high claim agencies. But then the low claim agencies are affected as a result because then their premiums go up. So I can tell you that we've asked, our carrier, our broker, to look at not only going out into other markets, like United or something else like that, but also look at self-insured. And you know what their very first question or statement to us was? Probably not a good thing to do because the only other plan in this area is Cigna. And guess what? So the largest hospital in your region does not accept Cigna, Halifax. So, again,
He's right on that, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office has Cigna, and they just dumped it. So, but I was thinking of like the state program again.
Did they go back to FHCP? Did
What's
they
that?
go back to Florida Healthcare?
Yeah,
I think
Florida
so.
Blue, but it's kind of like they didn't get the same plan because they left it, so it cost.
Correct. Well,
They're
then
probably
again,
doing the triple option then if they're that Florida Blue and they probably have that. Because the Florida Healthcare doctors are not in Florida Blue. I mean, they're different doctors.
Yeah.
So if we went to like a Florida Blue, we would currently lose your you'd
Right.
lose your doctor. You'd
right.
have to go get a whole new doctor.
Yeah, so if you have had the same Dr. Smith for 19 years under Florida Healthcare and they're a Florida Healthcare doctor, you wouldn't be able to go with them even if we switched to Blue Cross.
And I know this because I just went from Florida Blue to Florida Healthcare and I had to get.
So again, that's what happens. Everyone is regionalized over the last few years. You know, Volusia County has Florida Healthcare. Brevard County has Health South. You know, I mean, you know, over in the Orlando market, you have the Orlando, shoot, not the other one,
South Orlando,
and
Orlando Health.
not Advent, the other hospital group.
Orlando Health.
But so anyway, yeah.
If we can real quick, John, because I had some people asking and also the numbers aren't adding up for me. Can you explain the wage plan that you gave us here, this proposal with these proposed steps on the side? Because those percentages don't seem to match up to what's here. I have a feeling it has something to do with the difference in doing the 84 straight versus 80 plus 4, but I'm not quite understanding, and some people aren't either. Your cursor's in the way. So what is that supposed to be?
Yeah, so that percentage is only, that's the proposed step increase. Remember I told you a while ago. Let me change this.
This was the past one idea, which we had a new party. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. So if you look right here, let's just go to an officer. Okay. The starting salary for an officer is $24. We're proposing for year one that they go to $25.63. So $25.63 over $24 is 6.78% increase. I'm not doing the step. This isn't the proposed step increase. This
Yeah, I
is the
know that.
proposed increase over the current rate. So,
But you,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So again, if you look at, you know, this, you know, step 5, it's 7% over the current step 4.
okay, I think that's what was confusing us, is because
Yeah, it's not.
you had the percentage for each step, so we assumed
Yeah.
that was the percentage from current, like step 5 to new
Yeah.
step 5, not
If-
current step 4
If
to new
you
step
remember
5.
when I handed it to you, I made the statement that that should be not proposed step percentage, it's proposed increase percentage. I said that when I first handed this out.
Either way, yeah, and I understand that part, but the confusion is you have it for each thing here. So me being a simple man, I looked at it and thought that this proposed increase was from each current step to the new one. So 1 to 1, year 2 to
Down
year
and
2.
over. Right.
Yeah.
It's not
Because if you're year
across.
2 now, you're going to be year 3
Right.
next. You're not going to stay year 2 forever.
Yeah, it's down and over.
Yeah. That just seems like a weird way of doing it, but that's all. I think that's why people were confused, because I got people texting me going, these.
So here's,
I mean, I can do it the other way, but I
No,
went
that's fine,
back,
as long as we
I went back
understand
and
it.
looked at how
It
it was
won't-
the other day,
Then
or
you'd be
2
year
years
2
ago.
forever.
And you were only at 1.41% increase between steps. I didn't think you wanted that.
All right, we get it.
so
Because you want to be year 3, not year 2.
It's down and over.
All right, yeah. It's fine.
how would the city feel about a 3-year contract? I'm very concerned about compression. Just looking at where South Daytona is going versus you guys, your starting is still going to be higher. A 5-year officer in South Daytona is going to be higher. A 17-year officer is already higher than your officers. I want to work on fixing compression. I think we can do that better with a 3-year wage contract than a 2. Would the city be open to us proposing something over the 3 years? That way we can build in essentially what amounts to loyalty benefits throughout the 3 years. Doesn't cost you a big pot of money in the beginning. We can spread that difference. They can get, we can still have raises that make things competitive, but we can stretch it to where your older officers are getting paid consistent with other places in the county that they're not now, which will help with keeping people.
So we like the 2-year proposal so that we are getting out of doing this every year. If there is something that is reasonable, equitable, market competitive, then I don't see that, council would be making a statement, not an opinion, not
And
a,
you can't tell what they
yeah,
would do.
that, before here, I've always had a 3-year locked in contract with percentage increase over, the full contract. Doing the flat dollar amount gave us some of that compression.
A whole lot of.
A whole lot.
But it's also been.
So-
that-
So that's why I believe that when we looked at this, we went back to looking at where we were at 2450, as the starting, and then trying to build back the reasonable step increases so that we got back to where we were from 2 years ago.
But the problem there is, 2 years ago, the compression was terrible. Yes, it got worse, but if you look at the graphs on people, most agencies go like that, yours goes like that.
Yep. And the other thing too is, I don't know if you caught it, but this also goes from 16 to 20. So currently the officers, if they got to the step 16, they were capped out. So,
No, I see you're making it work within the bounds of what you got, but, and that's why I think, if the guys, if we can put together a proposal, I think a 3-year would be a benefit to everybody because it makes you a lot more competitive. And with seeing it in the contract over the 3 years, the guys will be able to see, look, these are the raises I'm making throughout the years. It's not just the steps. This is great.
Yep.
And it's just, it's something we had to do with South Daytona because theirs was bad too, where we added some loyalty pay within the 3 years. Ultimately, their difference over a 3-year contract is about 22%, give or take. But it fixed a whole lot of compression by adding essentially loyalty benefits at certain stages that the guys got, which really spread it out, which was a huge issue there too.
Yep.
And by doing it over 3 years, we could implement the steps.
So when you
year
say
over year.
loyalty,
Basically, the way theirs was done is and something I was thinking here,
used to have it.
that's what I was thinking.
theirs was done a little bit different than what I'm thinking here, but because the steps are so compressed here, I was thinking something like 25 to 33 cents every 3 years the officer's been here, and then build in after that another 25 to 33 cents for years 12, 15, and 18, another year. And that way we can really stretch it out. Instead of a percentage, it gives a flat dollar, but still has the
Still has
effect
the
of a
percentage,
percentage.
yeah.
So the count, and I know commissioners tend to have issues with percentage base because once it starts getting high,
Right.
but you could do a 20% raise in a dollar amount and they wouldn't blink an eye. You put it as a 20% raise and it's, what the fuck is this?
So so you're thinking in certain year increments, like certain milestones?
Yeah, so just using 25 cents for example, year 3, you get a 25-cent bump to your starting. Year 6, you get a 50-cent bump to your starting. Year 9 would get a 75-cent bump to the starting, but it's 25 every 3 years basically. So what that does is it just starts to stretch it out, and then we can work within that. But by giving the milestones, the steps, it gives that flavor to the step plan that I hit this step and man, I get something really nice.
Right.
So it'd be like the 20 cents plus the percentage that we agree to.
Yeah, and that way, whatever years we implement these things, those get calculated, then the percentage bonus, which will stretch it out even more. It basically gives it does cost the city a little bit more, but a whole lot less than fixing it all in one. And it starts to stretch it out. And the guys would get to see, say 15-year guy is looking at it and, sees he's going from the 29 to say 34, something around there, 35. they go, holy shit, this is fantastic. But in reality, it's costing the city a lot less because it's over the 3 years and it's small raises. So they see something coming every year. That's something you'd be able to sell, right?
Yeah,
As long as it was.
yeah, as long as it's reasonable to the bargaining unit, then a 3-year is not it's not outside the realm of being able to be offered.
And the other thing I'd like to propose that I'd want to be part of the 3-year is the city figuring out about what position they want their officers paid in and putting something in the contract to say, if you fall out of this, we either come back and negotiate more or raise it. I don't know if you guys would be open to that, but I think that pretty much protects everybody.
So I don't believe the city council would be willing at this time to do anything that would guarantee a future year wage increase.
Oh, and it wouldn't have to guarantee. I mean, I think the guys would be good if we get to whatever position the commission wants to be in. I'd assume it's probably third or fourth, being that Port Orange is what, the second biggest municipality?
Yeah. I mean, that's what, in
We're the
doing it 3 years.
Third,
Third.
No,
Deltona, Daytona are bigger than Port Orange,
Deltona.
Yeah.
over 100,000.
I just mean income.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Port Orange should be the second or third with
Okay.
income.
So
But yeah,
because the inherent risk with a 3-year is that, and this happened to us, not by our own agreement, but we were locked into a 3-year, and cities were bypassing us at such an alarming rate, and the city fell behind almost $4 to $5 an hour.
and with the opener, that would be something that, I mean, if we're talking a difference in 50 cents, maybe we can
Yeah.
negotiate it, maybe we can't. But if we're talking, a $4 difference, you guys are going to want to get in here because you're not going to have any officers coming here. You're going to have people leaving.
well, the majority of, a vast majority of our officers are in the 7-year and less. So maybe if there's something in there, that's reasonable that will get people to want to go, so that there is an incentive, then if they're, the best way I can say it, show me examples.
No, and that's what
This
we'll
is
do.
what
Yeah.
municipality A has done, B has done, C has done. I've seen samples of it.
Mhm.
I've seen samples where, you're locked, you get raises for the first 5 years, then there's just a lump sum for 5 years and you don't get your next raise until year 10, then you get lump sum. I mean, there's all different versions of stuff. It's just, that's where I just say, if there's something you're interested in, show us, and then but it should be multiple cities, or if there's a competitor, not a competitor, but a sister local city that's doing something
Like
that,
South Daytona.
like South Daytona, again, we want to, back to your comment, we want to attract,
And that's,
we realize that we need to make improvements to the pension. We're good there. The council's not questioning it. So, but, and then my only final thing that I had is y'all asked that, y'all also wanted to see, the policy for, a declared event emergency. Jared, you and I went back and forth. Hurricane Ian was confusing.
Mhm.
Then Hurricane Nicole was simple.
Mhm.
So this policy mirrors the memo that was sent out for Hurricane Nicole. The one thing that I want to point out that is a huge, huge benefit is that if you read the bottom of the first page, and it follows for non-exempt and exempt employees, is additionally non-exempt employees are required to work or remain at work in response to the emergency, and the work is outside of their regular work schedule or during a period of administrative leave for which they would otherwise be eligible because their office is closed, will be granted an amount of paid leave that is equal to such hours worked. The leave must be used within 120 days from when it is granted or by the end of the fiscal year, whichever is greater. So, so with that statement, It just means that, you know, Ted, you were told you had to work for 24 hours for an event. Not only were you guaranteed time and a half pay for it, we gave you 24 hours of administrative leave to be used at a different time. So that way it's, Chris wasn't told to come to work. We gave him administrative leave at straight time. Well, you got compensated at time and a half, and we'll let you have time off with pay at another later date.
Now, as an officer, you're non-exempt in this, or are you under the exempt?
No. You're non-exempt. I'm exempt.
Gotcha.
So I'm required to have an exempt versus non-exempt.
So if they have enough people on the road, you can take time off.
So, so, I mean, but it's very, to me, I believe it's clear. You were scheduled to work Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You were called in. So, but you were required to work because it was an event. So you both were paid the time and a half, plus you worked 24 hours, you worked 24 hours. And it's for the hour, so it's a 1 for 1.
What
So
happens if you don't use it within 120 days?
You lose it. Or end of the fiscal year. You lose it.
yeah, you lose it.
But that's only for exempt, right?
No, it's,
It says exempt.
no, I got non-exempt and exempt.
Is that paid under vacation or sick?
It would be as an administrative leave bank.
Different block.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and then,
Yeah, you can't have it paid out, you have to take it.
Yeah, it's a use it or lose it.
Is that pensionable?
No.
Sure. Well,
The administrative time that you actually take off would be pensionable. Because that would be considered hours worked. It would be like any other type of paid leave.
Okay.
Yeah, your only cap is 300 hours of overtime. Anything over 300 hours of overtime is not pensionable.
Right.
Everything else is.
So basically, if you worked a whole week, you got a week of administrative leave, you took a week off, your time and a half emergency, whatever would be pensioned, and the week you took off, that would still be considered pensionable time.
I was thinking payout. You're-
Yeah,
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 but-
paid out is
paid
not.
out would not be
Mhm.
that.
So you-
but this isn't paid out.
This
This
is not
use it or
paid out,
lose
it's
it.
use it or lose it.
Okay.
That's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
City managers already, him and I have already gone through this. I've worked with both Sharon and with your chief on this to make sure that we captured everything. So once the collective bargaining units all agree to this language, then he will sign it and I will get it in SharePoint. So the point of this is the sooner you say we're good with it, the better, because a hurricane comes through here in 10 days. This has to be approved prior to.
And that's separate from the contract.
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely.
This is a policy.
Yes, because that's already covered in the preamble about, yeah, so.
Jared, how long do you think it could be before you have to vote on that?
I can email this out today for review. And, I could email this out today for review and comments and then schedule the vote for it, being that it's not a contract change, it's
No,
just
sir.
a policy change. So I could probably have a vote done by, I'd probably say next week, Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, again, you can see that I believe administration is trying to work to give little things here and there that, in the end, it might not be a, 20% raise, but we're trying to give little benefits here.
Sure.
I just scanned it over. We need to look at it, talk about
All right.
it, but it's not gonna change from their point of view, so we need to
Right.
give them
I
a
know.
yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes. This simply says, is when you read it, that if City Hall is closed, like last year, both Ian and Nicole, we closed City Hall at noon. From noon on, if you were required to work, you're at time and a half. Carly here went home. She wasn't required to work. I'm not picking on Carly. She wasn't required to work. What this says is that she was sent home. She's being paid administrative leave. Okay? The prior policy said that she had to take PTO. Okay, this was citywide. So now this clarifies that when we send someone home for an event, they're paid administrative leave. But City Hall closed Wednesday at noon. Chris, who was required to continue to work, now got time and a half. John, who was told to work because I'm exempt, was told now I get paid my, an hour, my salary divided by 2080 at time and a half. I worked 10 hours. I got that time and a half for 10 hours, but then I got 10 hours of administrative leave to use at a different time. That's item number one. Item number two that you go through this is that we say that EOC closed at noon on Sunday, then your time and a half ended after the end of that current period. So that when you came back on Monday and you resumed, your normal work, or, let's just use, your public works, and you're still, doing, cleanup, but you're doing it during your regular shift, you're back to your regular rate of pay. So it's very clear in that, I don't want to get into the thing where, well, John was told to leave the EOC at noon, but you were told to work on your, your regular day off, or you're still working to support, whatever, you were told to do. You're paid that time and a half through the end of that work period.
Is this applicable to the other bargaining units? Because-
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so
This
they
is
need to
everybody.
vote on it. Or do I need to get them to vote on it?
No, sir. Nope. Fire's good with it.
No.
Nage is good with it.
Talking about my administration,
Lieutenant.
my lieutenant group,
No, sir. It doesn't matter.
and my admin group.
Doesn't matter to
Okay.
captains, doesn't matter
No
to
problem.
admin, because it's administrative policy.
No problem.
This is just one of the things that both IUPA and PBA lieutenants wanted to see a clarification, because the memos that went out between Ian and Nicole, one was complicated, one was simple, and y'all wanted to make sure we had the simplistic version of it, which is this.
Okay.
Jared, what are your contracts for? You sign a new officer, how long do they sign on?
3 years.
And then is it 3 years thereafter, or is it year to
No.
year? Just the first 3 and then year to year?
Yep. I mean, I say year to year, I mean, it's not really, there's no recourse. If it 3 years and 2 days, they say bye.
No, gotcha.
You're talking about for like your officer positions in IUPA?
No.
No, for the, just officers. Some cities do, every 4 years, you sign a 4-year contract, others do. The first contract is however many years, and then they're basically a day-to-day employee, they can resign at any time.
Ours is just an agreement that if you're under 3 years, that the city has a recourse of saying that you would be required
It's
to
a
pay
3-year
back.
contract.
But that's for
Training.
recruits, right?
Hmm.
Talking about for recruits.
Yeah, for recruits, the training,
Yeah.
It's recoup the costs of,
Just the recruit,
equipment.
and that's just for recruits at the academy,
Right.
right? Oh,
it used to be for our officers, not just recruits.
Well, it's, yeah,
When you
it's for
sign
anyone.
Day one, 3 years.
If we
Right.
say we're gonna
Yeah.
hire you, you have to say for 3 years you will work here.
Do
Unless,
we still do that?
oh yeah,
It's 33% for a year, so every year you
Yeah,
work,
but that's an
now it's
exercise.
66, now it's 33, then
I
you're
mean,
free
we
and
sponsor
clear of 3.
everyone, so it's kind of hard to
Civil,
say.
yeah. The city would have to go after a person to pay for, uniform, like
There's
certain
always,
stuff.
now the difference is there's no recourse if someone is fired or fails out.
That's.
Bail out, that's different. But if you just willingly say, hey, this is not for me, I got a job at Warren Beach, the recourse is there.
The reason I'm asking that is I put a bump in year 4, so
Mhm.
stay.
And we've been trying to do stuff like that to incentivize people to look at that. Ooh, look, I'm gonna grab that thing. Look at that gold coin that I'm close to. I can grab.
No, and that's generally speaking, the benefit of the step thing, because there are the steps that people want to get to, which is what I'd like to create in this one.
John, in the verbiage on here under non-exempt employees, I was just curious. It's talking about administrative leave, during a period of administrative leave. What did they mean by that? It's under the policy for the emergencies declared then.
Right, in the general section.
Under non-exempt, it's almost at the bottom.
Start reading it.
It says, additionally, non-exempt employees required to work or remain at work in response to the emergency and to work outside of the regular work schedule or during a period of administrative leave. So I was just trying to clarify what.
So what he's saying is if you're not required to work, you get paid administrative leave. If you're required to work, you get your time and a half, plus you get the comparable hours of administrative leave you can use.
So if you're scheduled for vacation, hurricane comes through, you're getting
Did you come back?
12 hours.
Well, so if you're in Wyoming, then it's PTO, vacation, whatever
Right.
you're, but if you're here, like Carly, what this is going into is Carly can't just, well, she's exempt, but, an hourly employee can't just sit at home and all of a sudden say, I'm going to start working.
Right.
You got to be required to work. So this is just, so if you're, I'm an hourly employee and I'm, called up and I'm, this happened last year with purchasing, hey, I need you to go and do something. Well, as soon as I told them they have to do something and they were sitting at home, it triggered that they were paid time and a half. And then if they happen to be where it's a minimum, of 3 hours, and it only took 10 minutes, then they're entitled to 3 hours or whatever their CBA, dictates for whatever, time, whether it was 10 minutes or 2.5 hours, they got their minimum required call-in pay.
But the administrative leave, the terminology of that is specifically for persons on sick or vacation or just not working?
No.
That doesn't have anything to do with sick or vacation. That's for people to get sent home and
Yeah.
they're on AD.
So if you're
Additionally,
scheduled to work and you don't
non-exempt-
work, you get administrative.
Correct. Non-exempt employees are required to work or remain at work in response to the emergency, and the work is outside of their regular work schedule or during a period of administrative leave for which they would otherwise be eligible because their office is closed, will be granted an amount of paid leave that is equal to hours worked.
So that
So if
typically
you
wouldn't
were-
apply to us then, right?
Huh?
Yeah, it
We're
doesn't
always-
apply to us.
It doesn't apply to us.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
That's all,
It's
that's
closed.
all I
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah, but we had, my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, I was told we had detectives that did not work during some of the event.
No, we had one who was in transition of medical retirement.
Okay,
So he had nothing, there was nothing for him to do.
so then
He
he
would've
would be
gotten
on administrative leave.
Correct. He took whatever he took,
Right.
vacation.
So in this case, if we didn't require him to work, he would be,
Like a light
On
duty, we
administrative
have a light
leave.
duty employee. So if we have a light duty employee, which we do right now, and a hurricane comes through, well, we're not gonna have him sit at the front desk
Mhm.
during it, because our office would be closed.
So he would get admin leave.
He would get admin leave
Yep.
from the city. That's
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all. Fine.
yeah, let me just think outside the box here. Motor officer.
Mhm.
Can't work because there's no vehicles assigned, and he obviously can't ride a bike in the middle of a 2 foot of water. And he said, well, just you've got to go home. You can't come back out until the roads are passable on your motor.
Sure.
Gotcha.
So during that time, he would have been on administrative leave.
Which makes
Unless
sense.
there was something else he was called in
Right.
to do.
Like
Hey,
we
go
had-
ride with Jared, sit in the back with
Yeah, like we had
Kilo.
Huh?
What's your dog's name?
Nico.
Kiko. Yeah, you got to ride in the back with.
Yeah, like we had a situation where we had two canine trucks go down. One was crashed. I had no vehicle, and I was like, bye. They just gave me a vacation because that's just nothing for me to do, and I'm not going to put the dog in a police car. So you risk his safety. So same idea.
That under this, you would have been on admin.
I would have been on admin leave.
Instead of
That's all
vacation.
the difference would be.
Yeah,
Especially
unless
if
they could reassign you to something
Yeah,
else.
if they could reassign, like, it's especially like you said, with the example of, we didn't know the trajectory of a storm, blah, 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 something amazingly happens. That officer's swamped at his house, can't get out, tries to, he doesn't want to try to drive his car down the street in 4 foot of water and destroy a $60,000 police car. What do we do? Either we're going to go rescue you and pull you out, or we're just going to say, sit there and you're on admin leave.
Yep.
Which is,
Well,
whatever.
that's gonna be a Chief Marino thing.
Right, that's gonna
I'm
be a-
pretty sure he's not gonna do.
Right,
something
that's going to be a
crazy.
determined admin response.
You just know that we did this between your chief, Sharon, and I. So we tried to take into account all the nuances that, don't mean this to sound any other way, but it came from police last year between Ian and Nicole to try and make sure that we captured everything.
Right.
So, and that's the same with every last one of these little things that we have proposed, is trying to clean up all the things that Jared and I had to try and fix last year, that I believe it simplifies a lot of the interpretation issues, and it will make it easier for everyone involved.
Yes.
It's not about just ERP, their computer system.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So, may I recommend,
Mhm.
September is extremely packed due to required legal meetings. So may I suggest that, I know that y'all are going to read this. You're going to come back with suggestions on how, counter proposals, et cetera.
Mhm.
How much time do y'all believe y'all need to review this as an executive group and then take it to the membership and then come back to us?
I mean, I can ideally schedule a bargaining unit meeting. I can probably have a scheduled bargaining unit meeting for next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday and Wednesday. So if I can do the bargaining unit meeting next Tuesday and Wednesday, which would be fine, I have the vote done on that other thing, the same time frame. Get that to you. I would just say the week of September 4th, the 8th, September 4th to the 8th, anytime in that span should be plenty of time.
So,
September 4th is Labor Day.
so definitely nothing the 4th or the 5th. Anyone live in the city? Who lives in Port Orange?
Can't afford to.
Nobody.
No, can't afford it.
Yeah.
Me either.
Well, no, I don't live here either. But
Because I-
we sent a stormwater letter out, so we're taking calls on that. So I just have stuff that, between that and the budget for September 5th and 6th. So either Wednesday morning, September 6th, or the afternoon of September 7th, or Friday the 8th at 8:30. So to just kind of make it simple, the 6th or the 8th at 8:30, or the 7th at 2.
You have a preference, Brian?
This is September.
Yep.
You'll have to check with Megan.
Okay.
I can only do the 6th.
Huh?
I can only do September 6th, but I'll.
So for continuity, the suggestion then would be the 6th at 8:30.
8:30 in the morning.
I just wanted to say one thing really quick on this policy. I like the language that you had here that the leave will not be paid out on termination or change to status. I just want to make sure that that's clear throughout the policy, even under the executive section. Okay. Just want to make sure you guys understand that.
I'm free the whole day on the 6th. so.
As long as he's
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll shoot for the 6th then, and then we'll keep our fingers crossed on the actuary finishing up, getting us all the numbers. Maybe that can provide some better insight, and we can actually make some progress also. And then I'll still work on the review of a possible 3-year wage proposal with the bargaining unit, just with this mindset of the pension still ongoing, but let's be able to come back to the city with, hey, this is an option we want to at least present you. That should be plenty of time.
So the only thing that I would state to a 3-year wage potential
Or
is,
Or 2, it doesn't matter.
well, we've been authorized for 2.
Okay, then it's gonna be 2.
I'm not opposed to 3, but what I'm stating is probably suggest it to us first so that I can meet with the city manager and council,
When they get something figured out, we'll get it.
because I do not want to make a false promise
No,
to
absolutely.
membership on something that the council might not agree to.
No, absolutely.
Then I'll do a 2, and I will also put a note in there, here's a 2-year and here's a 3-year. So here's, if this is a more, something that the council wants to bite on, here's 2 options, that's all.
CC stuff. I wish she doesn't call me later.
Gotta make legal happy, jeez.
So just, I guess as a recap, so that we're all on the same. Article 15, again, it's just configuring it that we're going to 84 hours. The proposal is 84 hours, and it's completely compliant with FLSA 7K exemption parameters. We've added the language in there that y'all suggested regarding, what under 15.5 for outside the normal hours. So that has language from y'all. Article 28 wages. Y'all are going to just confirm with me if you want it to be October, the first full pay of October, or anniversary date. And then, wage proposal. And then on 28.2, where it says to be inserted, is the fact that, the city is proposing this for year 1 and 5% over this for year 2. Okay.
And the specialty assignments.
And the specialty assignments,
We'll look at those.
yep, you said that you sent those in an email, so I will relook at those and get those inserted if they're reasonable, as agreed. I fixed the 28.5 to clarify that if you're promoted from officer to sergeant, it's a minimum of 5% or the next higher time and grade. So if you were currently making, if the 5% would be 3105, then you would go to 3292. So that's what that language specifies. Article 29, retirement, y'all are gonna look at potential items for how to include it, but legal is going to get with, y'all two are gonna get together after her review of Florida statute on that to see what we can and can't potentially agree to without having the cost impact. With the Article 32 duration, no good.
You know what that means? I don't know.
Sorry, what was that, John?
Oh, wait.
You go ahead, sorry. We'll get it later.
Article 32, try to clear it up. If we can't come to a consensus on retirement, for language, then the city is completely open to immediately open Article 29 retirement for year 2. And that would be approved by an MOU. The city's ready to move forward. We're wanting to settle wages for 2 years, but if you don't agree to the 5%, then we would just state that Article 28 and 29 would be open for year 2 and Article 28 for year 3 only. And then I provided you with the declared event emergency pay determination. The only thing after legal review, she caught that the last sentence under non-exempt, she'd like for it to be copied under the last paragraph under exempt. So I've copied that just so that it says that if you're terminated or status change, you lose it. And we have cleared out several articles that the city is not looking to make any changes, which was disciplinary, grievance, workers' comp, annual leave or sick leave. So the only thing that is remaining is you guys were reviewing Article 10, probationary employees, Article 11, promotional procedures, and maybe my language under wages clarifies the promotional procedure for the step plan. And that's it. Hopefully I summed that up a lot quicker than. Oh, yes, and the next meeting is proposed to be September 6th at 8:30 a.m.
Back in here.
Yes, sir. And then what will occur is if we come to a consensus on September 6th, then I would work to try and get something. I can't speak for council or the city manager, but our September 20th second budget meeting is typically pretty short. So maybe we could, schedule the final shade meeting executive session for September 20th, such that we get that all wrapped up. And then that means then that we would have your contract before council for ratification on Tuesday, October 3rd.
Is that with the pension stuff in there?
Well, that's to be determined. So I believe honestly, Ted, let's be a very optimistic group, is that Friday of this week, we will receive information from Mr. Little on those 6 proposals. If I get those 6 proposals, I will reach out to Jared there and say, Jared, we both received it. It's the 25th. How soon can we meet next week for the city to propose a retirement article? That's how soon we will do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get that, like I said, by Friday, we try and put something together next week. And then that way, when we meet up on the 6th, we can hash all that out.
Anything else?
No, other than to, I mean, just point out, once they figured out the numbers, it's about a 2.5% raise that they're offering. Just
How do you figure that?
going step to step, the 2501 is the 80+4 rate, the 2637 is the
Hold on,
84
Hold
rate.
on, let me go.
That's just on year 3.
Okay, start over.
So just using the year 3 one because it's easy, 25.01 is the 80+4 rate. 26.37 is the 84
But
rate.
it'd go to 26.74.
Yeah,
No,
if-
it won't. That's the next step.
no,
That's
You're not
sir.
going to the next step.
October 1.
October 1.
They will go to the next step, yes, but as it is a raise for the wages, you have to compare step for step because they're getting that next step no matter what. That's not that's not a contracted raise. That's just a raise that they get because they move on to the next step.
Okay, so Chris here makes 2501. What our,
So
and I'm making this up, I don't, without looking it up, I don't know how much you make, but let's assume Chris makes 2501. Come October 1st, because we already went through this, that you go to the next step, we're saying that Chris would go to 2674.
yeah, but I'm just talking about you got a tier 3 guy or a
Tier 3.
step 3. Sorry, you got a step 3 guy.
Mhm.
Yes, there's a part of the proposal to increase the step, but I'm just looking at step for step. So the raise itself is 2.5%. That's all you're increasing salaries.
I disagree with you.
No, that's not true.
I totally disagree, because whether I go, let's just go from, let's use Chris's example for October 1st, okay? Or no, it was Jared. October 1st, you're making 2501 today. Well, then the new rate, you would go to 2637. But under the current system, you would go on your anniversary date then to 2674. We're stating to you that Jared's currently now at, well, let's say Jared's at 25, just pick a different step. Step 5, Jared's currently making 2570. His next step is 6, and he would go to 2751 the first pay period of October. That's a 7.06% increase over his current 2570.
Well, I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is when you look at the numbers themselves and you compare the steps with themselves, which is what this is. I mean, yes, the offer of the October 1st going up a step is a slight benefit.
Yeah.
It's not a huge benefit, it's a slight benefit.
Yeah.
So what you've got to, I mean, to look at what the actual raise is that is being proposed by this contract, not what the effect is going to be on a person, it's the raise by the contract, it's 2.5%.
Okay,
So the person who's
That's what I'm
currently
telling
in
you.
step 4 then would go to step 5, which is 2713. Think of the first column as 23 and the second column is year 24, fiscal year 24.
No, I get what you're saying, but they're going to go up that step anyways, whether it's October 1st or let's say they were hired on October 1st, they're going up October 1st
Okay.
anyways. So in order to gauge the increase of the salary raises, because this isn't just for him, it's not just for him, it's for new hires as well. So the new hires going through this, it's a 2.5% difference because the steps are 2.5% higher than they were before.
But nobody's going to go lateral,
That was the way we were doing it, though.
but that's not what
But
this
it-
is.
I know.
But
I'm just saying that's historically, or at least recent history, has been the way we've been doing it.
But not only that, it's, you're going up to that step anyways. If you get there 3 months earlier, that doesn't mean you got a 7% raise. That means you get a 2.5% step increase and move to the next
Okay,
step.
if
quicker.
I just go,
Get what I'm saying?
yeah,
No,
yeah,
not at
so
all.
I totally disagree with what you're saying.
That's
Does
a
it
weird
go
way to
from,
do it.
to go from 2535 to 2674, step for step, is a 5.5% increase.
To go from what?
To go from step 5, hold on,
Mhm.
make sure to go from step 4 to step 4,
Mm-hmm.
just go straight across,
Right.
is 5.5% increase.
But nobody's going to go straight.
No
across.
one's doing that.
But then you subtract the 2.5% that
Exactly.
you're doing for the
But
84.
who's going to go across?
It's not about going across. It's about an apples to apples comparison. Because comparing what they're at now compared to what they're going to be at the next step is not a comparison for what the salaries are raised.
I disagree with you.
Well, it,
You
Well,
can't.
The 2.5% isn't a raise, it's in
It's
lieu
not.
of for the 80 to
Right, it's not.
84 hours, because we're losing
I don't like
the overtime, some money on
Yeah.
overtime.
I think it was 2.3.
2.38.
but it's
Yeah.
still the same
Okay, yeah.
thing.
Parameters.
We're still trying to, in my opinion, we're trying to inflate that figure, and this is exactly the type, this is the stuff that the bargaining unit itself, and I included, will get eerie of, because you're trying to inflate a number rather than saying, hey, this is, this doesn't include the 2.38% we want to do. It makes your number look bigger, and it's not. It's just not. And it's just,
Well, Jared, I will send all this to you electronically. You by all means can make changes to it by all, but I'm looking at this not about wages. I'm not looking about this about hours of work. I'm looking at if all we were talking about is wages and wages only, I'd be more than willing to entertain a higher raise figure. This is about also increasing retirement, which has a very big impact to the individual as well, because we're already paying 40-something% for every, dollar you earn into retirement. So when we add an enhanced retirement benefit, then that percentage goes up. So, I can't do it on both sides. I'm trying to be very reasonable here and here, that if the two of these add up to 10%, I'm okay with it. If we weren't doing this and looking to make anything, then there would be a lot more appetite to give a higher increase. I can tell you that
Let me
with,
tell you, I agree with you completely. And that's why the guarantee for the pension has to be in there, because then he can explain it to his people as, we're not guaranteeing to go in and negotiate, we're guaranteeing to at least get this benefit. Then the salary
Yep.
is a completely different story.
and I'll probably say it for the 10th time, City Council has said, let's move forward with retirement benefit improvements. It's a done deal. I can't do it without the number in my hand. Let's just say that you asked for 6 items. There might be an appetite for only giving 2 of them, or there might have been an appetite for 6 of them. There's the council is going to do it, period.
And that's what I'm
And
saying.
I was so hoping that we would have this information when I sat down today, because we have postponed this meeting for 40 days. Okay? It's not Jared's fault. It's not the city's fault. It's no one control here. I said I was being an optimist 10 minutes ago. I'm hoping that by Friday, we both have numbers and we can sit down next week and say, yep, here you go. So now this and this, it's a package deal, makes sense, so that Jared and I don't have to sit there and I want that emphatically. I do believe that maybe at some point in time, when we last spoke, the last real full time that we spoke was July 12th, the evening of July 12th. You stated on the phone to me that y'all wanted to have firm proposals within 15 days. I never got that email, which I'm fine with. but maybe we need something like that on the actuarial side. It's not within my city's purview. That is something that the IUPA requested, came from IUPA. Maybe that will hold more water than, me constantly sending Mr. Carmen request after request.
And my whole point for that wasn't to get there. If you can put a number in the contract that we're willing to do this amount in pension improvements, that's something that we can go back to the guys and say, look, they're guaranteeing this amount in pension improvements. You guys can pick what the pension improvements are for that amount. So we can show them, look, this is bigger than the 2.5% raise. This is what you're guaranteed to get.
I agree with you. I do.
And it's not a 2.5% raise.
It's not. I disagree with you on
Nobody's
that
gonna
part.
go, nobody's going across.
But
So-
it's not about what happens to the individual.
Yeah,
with
it
these
kind
contracts.
of is.
It
No, it's
Because you're
not.
going down, you're going from 3 to 4, you're going
But-
from 4 to 5,
But what I'm
you're
telling
going
you
from
is,
5 to 6.
so here's what they look at. They go, if I were similarly situated in this contract versus this contract, what is the difference? And the difference is about 2.5 to 3%.
So if we want to take people straight across and leave you at level 4 for the rest of your career, and so you're a 4-year employee for the rest of your career, that
Now
just
you're
doesn't
doing
make
apples
sense.
and oranges again.
No,
Anyway,
but you're saying you want to leave them at level 4, you don't want them to go to level 5.
No, I'm saying that the way you have to compare an increase is apple to apple. You don't compare a 5-year officer with a 6-year officer. You compare a 5-year officer with
No,
a
we're
5-year
saying that
officer.
you're going from a 5-year officer to a 6-year officer.
And he's doing that anyway.
So I guess here's the best way I could say this. I don't agree with, I will agree to disagree with your statement,
That's fine.
okay? And here's why. Carly made a statement to me that I believe that this is incorrect and needs to be fixed. She gave it to me in black and white and showed me what was missing. I agreed with her. I will give you all of these documents. Show it to me in a mathematical formula that comes up with the number that you're saying. And if you're right, I'll respond back to you and say, I see it now.
You
But-
said I was right. Looking at the year.
No, it's
I think you did
5.5% increase.
5, but you have to subtract the 80 plus 4 to 84. Because you said you were increasing the salary commensurate with the 80 plus 4,
But-
which is about 2.35%.
Sir, I did it down and over. I didn't do it
That's-
across.
That's what a step plan is. It's taking steps down. That's what,
So I was looking to make sure that Chris was here today. Chris is going to be here tomorrow. So I did that based on increasing from here to here, not from here to here. So anyway, I'm late for the city attorney.
You're good, then get to him.
Thank you, Jared.
All right, thanks.
I wasn't sure which face to look at.